One type of video I quite often watch are tool and knife reviews. I know they're not part of the things I tend to make myself, but I find them unusually comfortable and kind of comforting and familiar. I guess because the format is so familiar. They're a bit like makeover shows, you know, that kind of thing. And both Tetsubo 57, who I really like, James, does those, and Scalagrim does those. I'll leave links to both those guys in the description box below this video. But one of the things I find about these videos, and I hope those two certainly, and anyone else listening who's into these kind of things doesn't take this the wrong way, but one thing I find about these reviews is how incredibly camp they are. And I genuinely don't mean that in any kind of derogatory sense, because I don't think there is a derogatory way of taking the word camp or drag. You know, they're kind of in that kind of area really for me. By which I mean that there's a level of performance that's going on in them, and it's quite self-referential and self-conscious kinds of performing that's going on. Because when you think about something like a tool, and particularly something like a knife, which is both a tool and a weapon, you know, so it's really associated with that survival thing. It seems to be gesturing toward, as an object, I mean, it seems to be gesturing toward the most extreme version of form following function. I mean, there is no reason why any tool really, but a knife in particular, should have any kind of frivolity about it. You know, in an ideal world, and I think there is an aspiration in some of these objects. In an ideal world, there should be one perfect knife for a job, right? You know, if I guess I probably, yeah, well, never mind. You know, there is an optimal way of performing tasks, and the tool that you use for that task should be optimally designed for the performance of that task. I mean, that seems fairly logical, at least. So to the extent that form follows function has any meaning at all, then it would apply best to something like tools and weapons. There's no, that's the moment when the rubber hits the road, isn't it? At those points when the stakes are highest, really. So there's just no room for frivolity. There's no room for chintz. You've got to chuck out the chintz to get the tool or the weapon working properly. And yet, tools to a lesser extent, but weapons certainly, and knives in particular, seem to be, or the knife design seems to be unusually prone to frivolity. I mean, I keep seeing these knife reviews, and I do love them. I really do. And the knives that are being produced are clearly not fit for purpose. They're just full of weird, extraneous bumps and bulges and design elements and gestures to kind of references to video games. They look like tools out of video games, or they look like weapons out of movies. They look like part of the props associated with Tron or associated with Doom or some more modern video game or movie. They don't look like real things. I don't know. It's very strange to me, that. I mean, strange and fascinating and kind of gorgeous at the same time. So yeah, so these I guess it's just kind of odd that the what I guess to many people would be the most masculine of objects, which is something like a tool or a weapon, because in many ways men are kind of defined by the extent to which they're instrumental in the world. Yeah, I mean, stereotypically that's how we present ourselves, by our instrumentality. Women tend to be stereotypically presented by their representational quality, something I'll talk about later. But our capacity to do things, we like to look as if we're about to do something. All our style is about like we're about to do something. This jacket, look, it's like does this. See how it does this? It buttons on the right, so I'm just about to draw my sword. It has these buttons on the sleeve, so I'm just about to not get myself caught up in my sleeve before I get into this activity. So all this stuff is about instrumentality. and a lot of women's fashion does the opposite. It's all about something else, which I'll again come back to later. And that's, to me, that finds its apotheosis, its high point, perhaps is a better way of saying it, in the tool and the weapon, which are associated with males, aren't they, really? Which isn't to say they're used by just by males, but they're associated with males, yeah. So those would be the points where they're most instrumental. But to me, that's the point where you just see men and male as being at its most camp, at its most drag. It's most revealed that men are actually in drag most of the time. You know, we pick up these knives that look like props from some movie or some video game because we're dragging the role of men, aren't we? Yeah, that's what we're doing, right? That's why I'm wearing this jacket. I'm dragging. I'm being in drag as a man. Because there is no real instrumentality to this jacket. There is no real instrumentality to these weapons. There's never a moment when I'm going to need to draw a sword. There's never a moment when I'm going to need my access to my hands. These buttons have no purpose. So I'm in drag, right? And lots of very camp, very drag knives out there, and guns and swords and all that kind of stuff. Which isn't, I just want to come back to it, just want to repeat, this is not pejorative. I enjoy watching these videos and I enjoy all that stuff. I kind of wish we could just extend or embrace the drag a bit more, really, the drag of that. Embrace that drag. And drag in different ways, you know what I mean? Just, you know, stop pretending this is who we were. And say, oh, this is the stuff I feel most comfortable with, but I'm going to do this other stuff for a while, you know what I mean? Anyway, I don't know if that makes any sense, but thank you very much. Goodbye.